Boom! We should be live on the TruMon Show with Josh from the movement. How are you, bro?
Good, good. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for me. Like I told you, it's very significant for me to have the chance to have a little reasoning with you, interview about not only your music, but about what's going on
Yeah.
in the world today. It's so chaotic. But at the same time, like it's chaotic, but outside of yourself, like you don't need to hold the chaos inside of you. Like that's a bit what I'm gonna get to later. And we gotta leave that chaos behind and for brighter days.
For sure.
So it's Josh. It's a long road from 2004. The movement's been around for quite a long time, a few years, decades. So I would like you to tell me a bit the progress from 2004. Like you have progressed a lot, you have matured a lot, you have gained in maturity and all that. So
Yeah.
what's the feeling from 2004 to now? Do you feel that the movement, the band is stronger now than it? Because I look at what you produce back then, and it's very very strong. The song, and they're still playing a lot. So is it like a very continuum of from the very beginning, or you have like adjust the vibe a bit along the years?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with the word maturity, I guess. You know, I, we kind of started really doing this thing back in like 2001, 2002. I was in a band in high school and back a long time ago in the late 90s. And yeah, I mean, a lot of growing up since then. But yeah, I ended up going to Full Sail and getting a degree in audio engineering when I was like 21 or something, and came home from school after I graduated and decided that I didn't want to be on that side of things. I'd rather be on the band side. And it was just two of us at first, and we would record stuff to a 4-track tape machine, and we'd hit play and play it through some speakers, and that's how we would do our live shows. And we had a gig, kind of a residency once, maybe twice. I think it was once a week at this dive bar, this redneck bar in downtown Columbia. And we'd have 20 people there, and that was we thought that's where we would be. That was kind of the pinnacle of our time there. And since then, what's that?
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. Since then, man, we never thought that we'd kind of get to where we are now. We had a lot of changes over the years in terms of personnel in the band and band members. I'm the only like original band member still there, and we've had like a lot of people in and out, but the core group has always remained the same with Gary and Jay, and we're lucky enough to have Matt Goodwin now with us, and who was on the record Golden. But yeah, I think that go ahead.
How do you go about like when you change band members along the years? Like, is the vibe changing in the music, or like you keep always the same? Like you have a vibe that you vibe with, and is it important for you that the new guys that come in the band really respect that, or they can bring something of their own? Like there's always different ways to play an electric guitar. You can have so many pedals, so many sound you can make with it. So do
Right.
you allow that to come into the band different ways that they can bring? I guess it's enriching also to have new faces, new
Yeah.
ways of making music. I would embrace it, I think.
Well, I think the reality of us when it came to changing uh, band members was like who can hang on the road, who can physically come on the road and handle it, and you know who's available. You know what I mean? It's like who's got a good enough vibe to mesh well with everybody. And you know, a lot of times it's like you take what you can get, you know. And we've been lucky enough to have awesome, just amazingly talented people, and really cool people, be available and be there for us, you know, when we needed, when the time was right. And we just, I think it's a theme within the band that we never really orchestrate anything, you know. Everything just kind of is what it is, and it just flows how it flows,
It
and it
flows.
happens.
Yeah.
And we're not, you know, necessarily stressing over anything, and not trying to plan out the future and make sure everything is going right and making these really tough decisions, you know. We've been a very organically flowing band, and things, lucky enough for us, have just happened the way that they've happened. And through the years, you know, we went from this kind of mindset that the whole reason for doing this is to party and to have a blast and to get messed up and, you know, meet girls or whatever it is, and not worry so much about the music, to a very mature side of us where, you know, we're for the most part completely sober individuals. And um, you know, we're older, and we're looking at the music in a way that, you know, we want it to be top shelf, and as much as we can get it, you know. And we want it to
Yeah.
be just better every record. You know, I look back at a lot of the old records, and it's not that I'm ashamed of them by any means, but it does show our level of maturity, and our how much we cared really about how it sounded back then. We didn't really care. We were just putting out music and getting hammered and just saying that'll do, you know. And now we now we you know, we have a lot of passion for what we do, and things just seem to keep getting better. You know, we've got a great management team and great booking agency, and met a lot of great people along the way that have, you know, helped us out, and our fans are amazing, and just happy to be where we are now, you know.
Is it important for you today that this maturity that you have acquired reflects in the lyrics and the content of the music? Like, to me, it would be important that the message, because, like you said at the beginning, you just wanted to party, have fun, get hammered, and all that, and go out and tour. And today, do you reflect a little bit more on the words you put with the music?
Yeah, I think that happens naturally when you are more mature, you know. I've always tried, you know, I've always had like a poetic side, a philosophical side, very interested in, um, you know, uh, physics and space and time and relationships between um, our physical world and the spiritual world, and uh, you know, things like that. But it's really hard to write quality lyrics when you're uh, deep in a bottle, or, you know, whatever that might be. So yeah, I mean, the more sober we are, and the more mature that I am, and the more I read and learn and experience life in this kind of new way, uh, the better the lyrics get, in my opinion. And I do try to create content that is substantial, you know, and that means a little more than like an average reggae song might, you know, where, like you said, is talking about, you know, a girl or love, or, you know, whatever it is. And I do go there sometimes as well, because you can't always be um, trying to blow people's minds with lyrics. It is good to kind of go back to what people know and are comfortable with, and give them that sense of good homey feeling, good vibes. And um,
You-
but and I also kind of also like to talk about sometimes some darker things that wouldn't necessarily usually come out in reggae music. So it's not always positive, you know, because my life hasn't always been positive. And I think, you know, personally, someone's music should kind of reflect who they truly are as an individual. And I'm not always positive, you know, so I try to be, but.
I think it affects pretty much everyone. I think we're all, like I said in many shows here, we're all under trauma. It's just some of us recognize that trauma, some others really cover it with all kinds of stuff, all kinds of distraction to avoid recognizing the trauma and the truth within yourself. Because the truth, if you want to look outside in the world, you will find lies. Like that's pretty much all you will find in this world. If you look
True.
within yourself, you will find the truth. You will find the truth
Absolutely.
of who you are and what you came to do here and all this. And I think all this came to me as I got older, not when I was young. I was like you a bit. When I was young, I was very troubled teenager and experiencing all kinds of dope and everything that was coming. I was trying it. Like, you know, you want to get that feeling. I don't know what kind of feeling I was researching, but I was certainly researching a feeling that today I can point maybe the finger more on what was wrong with me because, like you say in one of your songs, see the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when you say that, it came and it hit me, that song, Siren, so much. I listen to it so often. You should see me in the house when it plays that song. I yell, my wife goes crazy, the kids shut their door. So then I go in the, because the message in that song is very, very important to me. And it's to rise against the system and see the bigger picture. And
Mm-hmm.
that picture, I think I want you to extend a bit on that. But the bigger picture, yes, about Babylon, there is something. And if you're inside the frame continually, you cannot see the picture. So you have
Right.
to step back out the frame and look
Mm-hmm.
at the bigger picture of yourself, of the world. I love that song for that.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a bit what was behind your thought writing that song, or what was it? If maybe I wasn't right by assumption.
Yeah, you're right. Well, that was one of the first songs um, I started writing when we were first even thinking about making Ways of the World, and that was during I think the 2016 election, and uh, you know, I was just starting to feel that twinge of like really starting to hate the government, and not that I haven't in the past. But this is a special time of like disgust and what, you know, what is going on, and you know, that has continued for the past 4 years. And I feel like it's gotten worse and worse. And but yeah, at the time, it was just this like uh, total bad taste in my mouth for what was happening, right? And and I had this like every song that I was writing, that was like the immediate thing. Usually I'll like try to get out on paper what's coming through at that moment, you know? So I'm not going to sit there and go, well, here's the theme. Well, let's think of maybe something else I can write about. Let's think of something else and then choose the best one. It's usually like, what am I feeling right now? And that usually ends up being the song. So when I started writing that song, I was just like all pissed off at, you know, watching the news or something like that. And, you know, I think what you're saying about stepping out of that and seeing the bigger picture for me became not watching the news. Um, for me, that's a huge thing, uh, especially these past 4 years. To stop, you know, if you want to check it out every once in a while, that's fine, but stop watching the freaking news. Um, you know, get off of social media as much as you can. Uh, remember back to the time when you didn't have a cell phone. You know what I mean? When you couldn't really check the news, you know, back in the 80s, you know, when you had 3 channels on the TV and maybe one of them was news, but you weren't watching that. You know what I mean? You're trying to catch cartoon or whatever it was, and it's like, if you can remember a time when your life was simpler and you were happier, why not try to see what the difference was between that time and this time, and for me, it was, stop trying to be so plugged in, right, to the system. Everyone is just trying to be plugged into this network of just crap, and it fills this hole inside of a lot of people where, and I'm guilty of it too. If you're just sitting around, you're like, oh, what do I do? And you're like, all right, well, let's get on the phone. So seeing the bigger picture for me is stepping out of that, first of all. Second of all, it's, I said this in a post that I did the other day, but it's realizing exactly what's happening in life, right? Like you said, you look around, it's all lies, and you can describe it as lies, or you can describe it as just an illusion.
Illusion, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the reality is something way bigger than all of this. And even if you can try to see that for 5 minutes out of the day, 1 minute out of the day, it really helps to realize, the reality is that we're on this globe, this planet flying through space, and somehow something most likely created all of this stuff. What is the reality of what's going on? It's so bizarre and so magical, and it's such an adventure, and it's such a blessing that we get to experience this. It's so strange that even if you can just try to reach out to maybe what that thing is, and try to connect with it through meditation or prayer, or even just taking a walk outside, looking up in the sky at night, and looking at the stars. And for me, that's seeing the bigger picture. And then when you do that enough, you come back to, say, social media, and you laugh, because it's all so ridiculous. You turn on the news and you go, look, this is just click, you turn it off. And that to me is seeing the bigger picture. It's not necessarily rising against the system and fighting it. For me, I'm not an activist, and I would maybe like to be. I don't know, maybe I'll try some activism in the future, or maybe I'll try to get involved with trying to change the system as it is, but for me, rising against the system is more finding it within yourself to see the bigger picture. And that's how you can actually rise up against it, and try to develop a community of like-minded people who aren't falling into that trap.
Exactly, because there is many traps. That was a bit my intervention here, is the trap of Babylon. But if we don't question anything that happened to us in life, anything that is thrown at us, like on the news everywhere, and to me, it became very, very clear after a tragedy. I don't know if it's the same for you, but I had to have a tragedy happening to me to start questioning my environment. Even the globe, like you said. I question everything that they have thrown at me because I've been told in school. I've been told by people. We get told so many stories. So many stories. Is it our story or their story?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's his story. The word is story. So is it our story, really? Are we trapped in some kind of dream of another man? Of another being that that's often how I see it, is as long as you're trapped inside the dream, because the system to me is very clear. It's another man's voice inside your head. Who's the voice inside your head? Is it your own voice or the voice of someone else? Like there is many voices we hear. So all this questioning happened to me exactly after a tragedy. And when to me, the moment the enlightening moment, because there's always, I'm sure you can probably point to that moment in your life too, when suddenly everything became kind of clear about the politics, about the system, like you said. And when you say rise against the system, I don't see it like getting out in the streets with signs and protests against them. That's just giving them power. To me, rising against the system is peacefully, quietly letting go of all that nonsense that you have in your head they have fed you since you're in school. So all this to me, that's at the moment that I said that everything become pretty clear, is when I looked at the sun. You know, we all say we want to see the light. We want to see the light, right? But no
Right.
one looks at the sun to realize that the sun is moving in the sky.
Mm.
Like, this is found that everyone can notice, just like me, sitting wherever they are on Earth and look at the sun. You know, so why we don't? Because we go. I did like you. I did like many others, and just like accept a bit what I was told. But when I looked at the sun, that's where me everything. I just wanted to put that into our reasoning today, because I think it's important
Sure.
that each and every one of us share what we have inside. So
Mm-hmm.
this light, or this fire that we have inside, because you have one, I have one, will infect others, and at one point we will move out of this dark age, because I think that's a bit where we are, in a
Right.
dark age. Like, there's so many of us that the mind have been captured. Like, what?
Mm.
So I think, so what was there a moment in your life, have you had any tragedies happening to you, for you to kind of even just putting the band together was a big step forward? Was like, there's some fear attached to this, though, always. Like, we live
Mm-hmm.
in fear. We live in fear. So, of course, until you drown those fear, there's always that coming out. Was that for you a tragedy that brought you to starting the movement, or maybe along the way something happened? I don't know. But there's always something that comes and shakes us out of our reality for us to do something else than we're doing all day long.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that there was one tragedy that uh, sparked the band into existence or anything like that. I've had a few tragedies along the way, and um, some people close to me that passed away, and um, I feel like uh, my my life and my career uh, throughout the first, long bit of the movement was pretty tragic in a lot of ways. I think I was a walking tragedy in a lot of ways, and a lot of the reason, that I wanted to be in a band in the first place was for kind of misplaced reasons. Like I said, I think I was looking for a lifestyle that would allow me to drink as much as I wanted, and and
you
to
make me
have
laugh. Sorry.
and to have as little responsibility as possible. Those were two things that I needed out of a career path. And I always looked up to
That's good.
I always looked up to musicians who passed away through drugs and alcohol, and those were my role models, and I saw that as a really, really great way to live, and to just uh, try to find oblivion every day, and a lot of that was because I was seeing Babylon every day. I was sick of living in the reality that I was in, and living based on that outside world, allowing that to be my reality. So I self-medicated for many, many, many years, and that started when I was, you know, and when I was like 14, and so as it went on, you know, I became like that kind of, I became like a walking tragedy without realizing what was happening to me, you know, and the more the years went by, the deeper I kind of sank into this dependency on running from my problems and medicating and trying to always be in a different state because I didn't like my state. And there's a certain crossover line where I could no longer really function without certain things, you know, and that's kind of the point where things really just started to go downhill. And you know, times where I wasn't so proud of our records or definitely our performance live. I mean, I'm surprised that we still have fans after all the times I've just been awful on stage, you know, and just had the worst shows and embarrassed my bandmates and embarrassed myself. Excuse me, myself. And you know, I think there was, I mean, there was a clear point though where I realized that, you know, I was probably just gonna die, you know, and something had to be done, you know, and you know, there was that kind of point right there in 2014 where I said, you know, enough is enough. I need to wake up. That was like a real defining moment, and you know, I ended up, you know, I went to rehab and I got sober, and immediately out of rehab, we went on tour with Pepper for like 2 months or something. So it was the biggest party tour ever, you know, and I was sober for it and didn't know if I could do it, but we did it and it was amazing. And we put out Golden, and which was the first record that I felt actually proud of, you know, and that was kind of a clear moment where the path started to change, you know. I saw the movement as kind of this up and down thing. We'd have our highs and our lows, but it kind of always stayed the same, and we weren't going anywhere like that, you know. And we kind of all, as a band, you know, eventually came to the same conclusion that we needed to be different in order to not only help uh, the movement become something that we all wanted it to be, but as individuals, help ourselves to become the men we were supposed to be, you know. And we've steadily climbed, you know, it's been a upward trajectory for us ever since. And not to say that we all haven't slipped along the way and had some setbacks and stuff like that, but for the most part, you know, we all are trying to be different people now and see things, see the truth at all times if we can. And that reflects in the music, in our work ethic, and our live shows, and our personal relationships, and our spiritual relationships, and in our connection with our surroundings. And it's just been a positive thing.
And for you today, are you like still have to go around and put barriers when you like, because at the beginning when you just got sober and that, I'm sure you wanted to stay away from crowds that were drinking and stuff and partying and stuff. Do you today, can you go into parties and really like, because there's that delicate line that you can cross when you are surrounded by people who are drinking, who are doing drugs and stuff, that you can be tempted, the temptation, you know, the temptation. Do you still have that temptation, or you completely like ignore those crowd, or you go along with it today very easily, very peacefully?
Yeah, I think it's always been peaceful. I think on tour, I know what to expect.
Okay.
There really is no, and when I'm at home, I don't really go out. You know, I don't go to bars and stuff like that. It's just not fun. You know what I mean? So, there's no point really in me kind of going out to a bar or something like that now. I'm pretty mellow at home, but tour is different. Obviously you're going to be in a situation where you're surrounded by a lot of things, and but it kind of just it's easy. I'm there for a reason, and I still have a great time. But we kind of hang out as a band, and we're not looking to really go get loaded or do too many things. We're just chilling and working, and having a good time. And we're actually doing the opposite, which is trying to be healthy. We're going and getting stuff for our smoothies, and we're meditating and trying to do yoga or skateboarding or surfing or running or doing push-ups, whatever it might be, on tour. And I think you see a lot of these successful bands as they elevate their status. We've been able to learn from a lot of these bands and watch what they do on tour, and a lot of them still party, but they're still waking up and exercising and eating right and doing all that stuff too. So yeah, it hasn't been a temptation for me. I don't really go through temptation. I go through just where my head will screw me. And I've always, a lot of people will say, your brain is trying to kill you, and a lot of times it'll do that. And so really it's just my brain that will tempt, like, make me want to do something. It's not really anything outside.
And I like what you say when you say that now you try to be healthy instead of being wasted all the time on tour and have fun, and that you focus on being healthy, doing your smoothie, doing your own thing in the bus, I guess, or something. But it's also, do you find it different? It's certainly easier to sustain your energy during a tour because you go all over US. Sometimes you go with so many bands, Ayatera, Pepper, name them, Revolution. I seen you with pretty much all the big bands in US, so you have went all over US. Have you came to Canada? Did you play in Canada, in Montreal? No?
We didn't. Something about crossing the border. We couldn't cross the border for some reason, so still haven't played Canada.
Yeah, Canada, US, the border is a bit funny. Me too. I have some issues with them.
I bet.
So and it's weird. It's weird because it's like before all those things that happened in New York, we were able to just go across, man, like nothing. We weren't even showing papers, nothing. Oh, you're from Canada? Oh yeah, go. Like it was so easy to go across. Today you need waivers and stuff, and it's just a money-making machine. But that's what I was saying. Yeah, it would be great to see you in Montreal one day.
Yeah,
maybe.
We would love to go.
Maybe.
Yeah, I hope so.
And that's it. You've been through all over US. Do you find it easier now that you focus more on the health to sustain that energy that you said at the beginning of the interview? Sometimes tours can be draining, you said. It can drain your energy. It can really, and not every guys can go on tour and really sustain that energy. Is it easier today?
Yeah, I often wonder how we ever toured any other way. I can't imagine. I can't imagine touring like we used to when we were younger. It's incredible that we were able to pull it off at all. Yeah, it's much easier. Like I said, I don't see how it was possible to tour while we're partying every night, every morning. I was waking up every morning, starting to drink as soon as I woke up, and smoke weed and, whatever it might be, as soon as you wake up till as soon as you go to bed, and it's just months and months of that every day. I don't get it, how we did it. I'm old now, you know what I mean? So it's like, thank God, we found our way. Otherwise the movement would be no more. There was just no way of sustaining it.
And I'm sure you're very thankful to still be alive today, because if you have went through all this, I'm sure there's many times on the road that you could have had accident or stuff happening to you, being drunk or stuff, and you're still here today talking to us. So I'm very thankful. I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I'm very thankful. A lot
Yeah,
of people are very thankful, and yeah, I have a lot of people to thank, for the fact that I'm still alive. So
exactly. Do you have any children?
no.
No children yet. Okay, it's an experience in life. I always say having children is an experience. It's not a chore. It's not such a huge responsibility because caring for others, we do it naturally. So it's more an
Hmm.
experience. It's an experience to have. Trust
Yeah,
me,
my
it is one.
my sister has two children, ages 1 and 3, and she just moved within 5 minutes of me. So I feel like I've got two kids now. I get to go over there every day and see what it's
Exactly.
like. But I'm there for about an hour before I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna go home now. So it's been nice. On the
That's
phone,
it. You
uncle.
can leave whenever. That's it. You're a fun uncle.
Yeah.
Now, in the context that we live in today, with all that nonsense propaganda going around about, you know what I'm talking about, we all like put mask and stuff. I don't like to name it because to me it's just pure nonsense. Anyway, I'm telling you, there's not a thing I don't question. There's not a thing that they throw at me that I do not question. So that's part of it. How do you find it? It must be. Do you have like, because musicians often have jobs on the side to be able to make it. So do you have a job now because you cannot go on tour whenever you want now? It's like kind of limited. You can probably have certain venues you can do with if you keep a certain distance. They're nonsense rules, but do you exactly like I said, find it harder today with what they limit us, because they limit, I find it's affecting so much the artists, the band and the music industry, so much. There's no concert, there's no venues, there's no. So how do you keep the fire, not the fire alive, because the fire is inside you, but how do you keep this thing to generate some kind of revenue so you can live off of it? I guess at one point that's your goal, to do only music and to write songs and to, to really invest yourself fully into it, especially with a sober attitude. It's sometimes easier to align your thoughts. So is it something that you find harder now that you cannot perform as much as before? Is it something you miss? Is it something you really love, being on stage, and now you're having a withdrawal because you're not on stage? Like, how do you take in all this, what's happening in the world?
Yeah, we all definitely miss it. Um, you know, it's what we do. It's our life, and it's not just necessarily just a job. It's what we've done for a really long time. 16 years, almost 17
Yeah,
years, nonstop, and so it's definitely weird. It's nice in some ways to have a break where you don't have a break and you're always in that mode of, okay, I've got 1 month to relax, and we have to start planning the next tour. It's always this wheels in motion kind of thing, which can be quite tiring. um, it is sort of nice to be able to stop and enjoy being at home and enjoy your family and going outside and not having your wheels spinning thinking, what do I got to do to prepare for the next tour? So those things are nice. Financially, we were lucky enough. Had this happen, maybe a year or two ago, I'd probably have to get a job. Um, wouldn't necessarily have to get a job. There are other things that I could do within the music frame. Little maybe acoustic shows here and there, or I could be helping out with my management team, or there's little things that I could be doing probably to make an extra dollar to make things work. But the movement, because of the last 6 years of super hard work and just relentless touring and putting out two good records. And with the work of our management and booking agency and everybody involved, we got to a point where we can sort of self-sustain without touring. And where that's one of the things in life that I feel most thankful for right now, is that we got to that plateau where we're okay right now. And the good thing about that is since we're not so worried about the money side of things, it's not like any of us are even close to having really any money. We're just okay. We're able to get
No,
by.
you're okay. You're okay.
Um,
That's it. Yeah.
and that's good. But that being okay gives us that freedom to start to think, hey, well, let's write a record. It's about time to write one anyway. Even if we were touring, we would be writing one. But now we have like this big window to really focus. It's kind of hard to all get together just because of flights and weird little things that keep cropping up in terms of actually getting together to make a record. So we've been doing it long distance. I got my whole setup here, and we made a single, Mountain, with Clinton Fearon, and that was all done kind of separated. And so we're working on a record right now, and we've got, we're kind of halfway through. We still got a ways to go, but that's what we've been doing, musically, and concentrating on the kind of the social aspects of it, the media side, and what can we be doing besides touring that can still keep fans interested and maybe even generate some revenue at the same time. And so we're going to be concentrating on like a live stream soon, putting out another single, putting out new merch items, trying to stay relevant, and then putting out a new record. And we might have some little bits and pieces and spices along the way that are cool little side notes too that we're going to put out.
Do you find it harder today, like if we talk just about the record thing, like the physically vinyl, or whether it's CD, or in our old days was a tape cassette? I remember I had those. I had a whole bunch of tape cassettes.
Me too.
I had to go to the store and physically buy it, and that was good because that was giving money back to the artist. So the only way you could get music back in the days was if you go in the store and buy it. I remember in Vancouver going on the Broadway Street, and that's it. Buy my record there and stuff. And so today you can go onto streaming sites like on the internet. You can find anything you want. It started with the MP3, then it got to the internet. Now you have Spotify. So what's your strategy when it comes to putting out record? Like, do you tell yourself, okay, we're gonna make a 20,000 CDs, and where do we market them? Like, where do you market that stuff? Because again, if you tell me a site to go, like, not everyone knows that site where to go, but everyone knows HMV. Je pense that HMV in Montreal was selling records. Big store. Everyone knew them. You could go to HMV and you were getting your stuff. Now it's a bit hard for us. Like, I'm gonna admit it. I go on Spotify, but I know Spotify is not great for the artists. Like, you get the crumbs. Even the crumbs, you don't even taste the crumbs. So it's so. How do you go about the marketing of albums and stuff? That interests me to know.
We have, like I said, we have a great management team that kind of runs numbers. And in this day and age, there's kind of really only one way to do it. You know what I mean? It's not like you have a bunch of different options. So the physical copies of CDs and vinyl that we have are mainly sold on tour. Um, but we also have an
Oh,
online store. Yeah, so when we're touring, we got a big merch table, with all the T-shirts and CDs and stickers and everything that you can imagine. And that's actually one of the a huge, huge way that artists sustain
yeah.
themselves on the road. So the physical stuff is normally sold on tour, but we also have an online store at themovementvibe.com, and you go there and you can buy anything that you would buy at a show if you want a physical copy of the album. But when it comes to digital sales, things like Spotify and Apple Music and iTunes, all whatever you might choose as your outlet to download music, it's actually, in my opinion, beneficial for a band at our level. I think that if people had to go to a store to buy our records, I'm not so sure that we would have sold. That I would think that we would make actually less money. When I go and see our like Spotify numbers, for example, when we get our royalty uh, uh, profit uh, sheets or whatever, when we
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
them, I see, all over the world, people are listening to our music. You can see every country, and I'm blown
Yeah.
away by the amount of countries where our music is actually being played, and it'll show you the songs that are being played in airplanes, the songs that are being played here, there. It's like, to me, I didn't even know before all this happened uh, that our music was so worldwide. And not to say that it's huge anywhere, but if it wasn't for this new way of listening to music, we wouldn't be out there. We might be known in America, and maybe we could ship a few hundred CDs out to some record stores in London or in Canada, somewhere, and maybe have some listeners that way. But it's been actually a benefit, I think, for all smaller bands to be able to spread their music out this way, because it has this kind of effect where it bounces around to different people's playlists, and it gets played here and somebody might hear it here. You might be sitting at a store and they're just playing Pandora, and it comes on a reggae playlist, and they go, who's that band? And then it snowballs that way. So for smaller bands, I think it's actually really beneficial
Oh,
for the sake of growing your band. And those digital sales are pretty much what are sustaining us right now, through the millions of downloads every day or whatever, millions of streams. Yeah, you might get like 0.01 cent from each stream, but those things start to add up, because the more it gets
that's
played, the
it.
more it's heard, and the more those people play it, and it grows exponentially. So for us, it's beneficial. I'm not sure if we would make more money selling strictly physical albums like in the old days where you had to, distribute them to record stores and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I don't know, but we're doing okay this way, and I'm actually grateful for it. I don't think that we would be as big as we have gotten without this new way.
No, because me personally, I would probably never got to your band if it wouldn't be of
Mhm.
Spotify, because it's because of
Right.
Spotify. Also, one day I think I was listening to Ayatera or something like that, and then the movement came. They propose you similar bands and stuff. So yeah, it
Yeah.
is a very positive thing. If you look only at the monetary side, like you're bad. But if you look at it in a way that it can help you also get statistic, like you said, where is my music plays? Like the TruMon show, I can go into YouTube and have statistic. Like I might, there's almost no plays in Quebec here, but there's millions of plays in thousands, maybe million, maybe hundreds of thousands of plays in India.
Right.
I was like, in India? Yeah, because I did many shows with one guy from there, and now suddenly the word's going around. in India they're watching the TruMon show. So I'm like, wow. So I was like just pleased to hear that the message can travel this far, just like you. No?
Right.
I don't want to hold you for 3 hours here. There's one question I would like to go about here. Okay, you have done many shows. You have went through many venues. Uh, which one is for you the most? I don't like to use the word iconic, but the biggest venue you have ever played with that gave you the most vibe from not only the public. But I have one. I have it written, but I want to hear you. Probably you're gonna say that's the one, but with the environment that you're into, the place where you play, like you're not stuck in a box or you can breathe. So what
Mhm.
is the venue that you would go back anytime and have a blast there playing and
Well, I think for most U.S. bands, the one of the top venues is Red Rocks in Morrison, Colorado. I mean,
exactly?
it's there's really, not that I know of, there's not too many places to play like it, and it kind of is that. For us, it was anyway, and I think it's true for most bands that that's kind of the pinnacle of, uh, saying, we kind of made it, or we're getting close to making it. If you can get on a bill that plays at Red Rocks. Um, so I think we've done three, maybe four shows there now. And when we were getting started, I never thought ever we would be able to play there. It's ridiculous. I never thought that I would even get to the West Coast. I'm an East Coaster, so
Yeah, you're
uh,
from the East Coast. Yeah.
yeah, I thought we'll never play in California ever. That it's too cool. We'll never get there. It would just be a dream to go across the country and play there. I didn't even know if I would ever travel to California at all in my life. That's how kind of low my expectations were for this band. But yeah, when we played our first time at Red Rocks, it was insane, and we've been lucky to do shows with Stick Figure and Slightly Stupid, and I believe Iration and Dirty Heads. I can't remember if we did the Dirty Heads tour there. I think we did. But yeah, Red Rocks, I think maybe if you asked any American musician, they would probably say the same thing.
But when I seen the first one I seen perform there was Revolution on YouTube. Là. I seen a video, Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado. I'm like, what the heck is this? Then I see all the bands showing up there, and I see you there, and I'm like, wow, this is the place. Red Rock, that's where you want to be. If you that, like you said, it's a very it's a step, it's a major step forward when you step onto that stage. You know that you're doing a major step forward. So I'm sure you probably felt that way also. Anyway, you came with a new album. I just want to say before we finish that interview, I put the link into the description so they can find all your music. And that's it. You just put out a new album last year,
Mm-hmm.
2019.
Yeah, I got it right
Great
here.
album. Yeah, Ways of the World. Oh, you have it in vinyl? Oh,
Yeah,
great. Great. I like
nice.
the cover, eh? I like the cover. I was gonna ask you, is the picture on the cover made on purpose to show the perspective effect? Because you're showing the perspective effect at the back of the girl. That's what I tell you, that where the two elements join, the sky and the water. And so was it done on purpose to show that? Because that's one of the major things we should reflect on. It's that
No,
perspective effect that we.
no, not really.
Okay.
So it's really funny though. So if you see even the artwork behind you right now, it's funny because I've got somebody did a really cool piece of the Cool Me Down artwork.
Yeah.
It's the same on the cover of Golden, the Horizon, and also on Set Sail. It's probably on more things, and this is not done on purpose at all. So we come to these decision-making choices when we do artwork, and a lot of it falls on me. So I guess I just have this gravity. I gravitate towards pictures of the horizon, the sky, where the sky meets the water. I guess subliminally I just like it, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. But it wasn't until after we put together kind of a contest of sorts, a competition for people to create the record art, and that was something that was made for us, and we just really loved it. And it's not until like months after we had released the record that I started to realize all the similarities between all this artwork. And I almost wish that we would choose something different, you know, but it's this theme, and it's completely on accident. So it's just must be something in my head and in the band's head that likes this imagery. So it's nothing really on
Yeah,
purpose.
man. Because you're really showing me. As soon as I seen it, I look behind the girl and I see all those lines in perspective, and you
Right.
go right to the horizontal, you know, the horizon is horizontal.
Right.
So it was like, wow, that's really cool. So yeah,
Well,
no, that's
on Golden
something
we
I
had
noticed right away.
on Golden we that was a little more purposeful. The lines are have the golden ratio on there, and I was really interested in the Fibonacci sequence at that
Yeah,
point, and understanding the math that goes into uh, almost all of the world, from a sunflower to the actual spiral of the Milky Way galaxy. And then it was kind of just incorporated into ways of the world, just different geometrical patterns. And to me, that it kind of represents constellations and alignments between stars, and the juxtaposition of geometry and straight lines and angles compared to the waviness of the water and the clouds. And
yeah.
maybe that's a subliminal thing, the geometry and math pushed up against nature and the smoothness of nature, you know.
Wow. Hey, that was a great interview with you today, Josh. Thank you very much for
Thank you very much.
coming here with me, and it was very, very enriching talk we had together. And I look forward again to interview you again in the future, maybe after your next album that you're gonna do. I'll contact your manager again, and we set something again
Please
together.
do. Anytime. Thank you so much. It was a great talk.
Yeah. Like I said, it was a for me. It was you are a major step forward for me because now with your manager Reed, I think his name Reed.
Mhm.
I'll contact him, and he manage a few other artists. So I'll
Yeah,
probably hang out with with Ayatera and that
yeah,
Revolution maybe.
yeah.
So that's a major step forward for me. Thank you very much, very much appreciate love your presence, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Josh.
Peace.
Bye. Peace.